Welcome back to another pick a card reading. So, this reading we're going to be taking a look at will you and the person on your mind reconcile? I have 4 piles to choose from, so you can go ahead and choose your pile. These are just pieces of kyanite that did some wire wrapping with. So, yeah, go ahead and choose whichever one you're most drawn to, and we will see, will you and your person reconcile? Alright, pile 1, so if you chose this kyanite stone, let's see if you and your person are going to reconcile. So you have karmic relationship, and so I am going to read from the little pamphlet book thing for this, because I do feel like these actually give kind of a very straightforward answer. So for yours, what it says, so karmic relationship, you have known each other before, and you will know each other again. Whether you were brothers, lovers, friends, or enemies in a past life, the cycle repeats and you return to each other over and over again. Who you will be to one another in this life is yet to be seen. Just know that you were fated to meet. So, I mean, karmic relationships, they can, since they are generally relationships that are, like it says, kind of faded, and it does kind of teach us a lot. Karmic relationships can be very hard to kind of pull away from karmic relationships until those types of lessons are kind of learned. Besides that, it does seem like this could be a connection where there has been kind of like on again, off again sort of things going on, where you've been in this person's life and maybe you've split apart, come back together at times and split apart again. And I think if that's happened, then you're definitely in the right pile. And I do kind of feel as if the karmic relationship coming up in your pile does kind of say like, things are not over with this person, that maybe there's still kind of lessons to learn within this connection. So it's kind of like the story's not over yet. So let's see, we have the King of Swords. Okay, we have the King of Wands. And then we also have the Ace of Cups. So I do kind of feel like things are looking kind of positive as far as like, will you and this person reconcile? You have the Ace of Cups, and that does talk about new beginnings, new sort of like loving feelings and connections. I can talk about new relationships. The interesting thing here is that we do have two kings, the King of Swords and the King of Wands. And I don't always see like if two kings come up or two queens come up that they're necessarily two different people. But I think for some of you that can be the case. That I feel like the story with your person is not over yet, that there's still things to learn within your connection with this person, and I do see like a new start coming in the connection with this person. They could possibly take action. One story is that this person does seem um, possibly disinterested, and you would be surprised when they reach out that they're quite passionate about you, that they do want to take action towards you and start something new with you. So that's a possibility that I see. But I also do feel like the King of Swords character, as far as like that energy coming up for me, it can be difficult to work with those energies, especially within masculine energies, within connections, because those could be the ones that don't want to open up and think very logically, and can sometimes leave little room for maybe understanding or empathy, depending on what you need in a relationship. So I do kind of feel like if you've been dealing with someone and this sort of karmic relationship has been with someone who's kind of cold and doesn't seem to show a whole lot of emotion or a whole lot of interest. And maybe they kind of sit back a lot of the time and don't really like seem to be too excited to rush things forward. I do kind of feel like there is something about the Ace of Cups bringing in like a very fresh energy of someone who's very passionate about you. And for some of you, it could be a sort of change in the person that you're coming to this reading for, and a sudden surge of like passion and wanting to take action towards you. Otherwise, I could see finally kind of moving on from a person who seems to be very detached and kind of cold, and then finding someone new who is showing you a lot of passion, a lot of excitement, and taking action towards you, being very bold and wanting to kind of move the connection forward, and possibly a lot faster than people have with you in the past. Oh my god, just as I'm saying that, that's so funny. Antelope spirit, life is speeding up, yes. So it does feel like, again, like there could be someone who is this King of Swords sort of energy that is kind of waking up to their passion and wanting to take action towards you. Otherwise, the other scenario seems to be you walking away from someone who doesn't take action towards you, doesn't want to speed things up, and finding that person who is passionate and excited and wanting to kind of move the connection forward with you a lot faster than I feel like previous romantic interests. And by the way, it's a little bit late for me to be saying this, but you don't have to be asking about a romantic relationship with this reading. Like, will you and this person reconcile? It could be, any sort of like relationship in your life, a friendship, or this definitely seems romantic though, I'm not gonna lie. I shuffled songs for this reading, and you have Something About You. It's a very interesting song. And I kind of, so what I did, this is the first step that I took with this reading, was shuffling out songs and kind of listening to the songs and see what I kind of get from the songs that were shuffled, and kind of give like my answer from based off of the energy of the song, what I would think, if how likely it is for you and this person to reconcile. So the interesting thing, your song I wrote unlikely for reconciliation. Hear me out. That's not necessarily saying, I do feel like there could be a good portion of you that you will move on from someone who doesn't seem to show a whole lot of interest, and find a connection that shows a lot of passion and a lot of interest, a lot of attraction, and taking a lot of action towards you. This song is very interesting because, so the reason why I wrote unlikely was because there's a lot of lyrics about, like, I don't really know what that person's up to, wondering about the other person, and there's some lyrics like, waiting for the moment they feel the same. And there's a lot of, like, it feels like maybe feeling like the other person's not interested and things like that. And when that energy does come up in a song, well, that doesn't seem to be things that usually happen when both people share mutual feelings and both want similar things for the future of their connection. So it very much can be that the story with your person that you're focused on at this time is not done, it's not over, there's still things to learn, but that it could be that you move on with a new connection with someone who seems to be very clearly very interested, very attracted, excited, and very, like, actively pursuing you. You also have curiosity. Show genuine interest in your partner's thoughts, dreams, and experiences. So here's the thing. And this energy came out. This was the last card that I shuffled. This is kind of a new deck that I just got. So I was like, it's love related. Let's add it to the reading. Yes. So this energy fits in very well kind of with the song of being curious about the other person. What are they up to? They're up to something. I don't know what it is. But there's also a lot of energy of, like, maybe it's a little too curious, because if you're always curious about someone, it's because you're not getting information about them. So this does kind of tell me that there's someone here who you're not getting a lot of information from. You're very curious about them, and maybe they're not really letting you in. And I feel like you're going to be, again, sort of detaching from people with that sort of energy, and a new connection seems to be coming in that's very like very curious about you, very again like excited and passionate. So let's see, we also have flirt, extend your lighthearted energy to others. Now and then again, there is a possibility here that again, there's this character who does seem to be somewhat disinterested, and maybe they've just got other things going on and haven't really making a lot of effort to move the connection forward, and there's some sort of passion awakening that makes them want to kind of jump in and like, yeah, I do feel like there could be reconciliation with the person that you're thinking of. And it can be quite flirty, quite, and so the other thing about it to watch out for that I'm seeing here is that you could be dealing with someone who, like I said, maybe doesn't show a whole lot of emotion, or can maybe seem a bit detached, independent, and the King of Wands is very passionate. We also have this like very fast energy with the Antelope spirit. Sorry about that. And this flirty energy too. So if you, this person that you're thinking of, will you reconcile? If you do know them to be someone who can maybe rush in with a lot of passion and maybe disappear just as quickly, I feel like that could be something that does happen in the future with this person. Can be something that happens. I do, overall, yes, you're gonna get reconciliation, but it does feel like at some point something is not going to be enough with a specific person, it feels like, and maybe let me pull more cards. Let's see. We have this could be the one. You've already met the romantic partner you seek. Okay. So yeah, I do feel like this person that you're thinking about again could transform in some way, awaken to some passion, and want to reach out and like start something new with you with the Ace of Cups. There's definitely that's screaming yes that you are going to reconcile. It could be quite flirty. You're very curious about this person, very passionate, attracted to this person, and very much feeling like, yes, this could be the one. I'm excited. And then you also have you are good enough. So just keep that in mind. You are good enough for this person. That's something to definitely remember with these sorts of energies. Like, we don't have the King of Cups, and even the King of Pentacles, which would be like a much more stable energy than maybe this person has at times. Maybe they could kind of disappear for a while and then like come back very passionate and like excited, and it does feel like this person moves quickly. They could be busy, or again at sometimes seeming like detached. So don't let that make you feel like you're not good enough for this person, or that they don't think you're good enough for them. I feel like this person's gonna kind of again go through some sort of change that like awakens their passion for you, and like they're gonna see you as someone that they really wanna, I feel like, prioritize in a connection. But I do sense there is a story here about someone who, it's kind of like a karmic relationship where you learn some lessons with this person, and again, there could be like a new connection coming in with someone who is a lot more kind of like bold in their expression, and bold in like wanting to pursue a connection with you. So either way, it does feel like you're destined for like a really like sort of positive relationship. um and yeah, it just, it's hard for me to tell whether this person has a lot of staying power or not because of this sort of fast energy. So it's uncertain to me whether like this person, yeah, they are going to show interest in you, that's for sure. I don't doubt that. You are going to reconcile. I just don't know what their staying power is. It doesn't seem like they might have. And it could be that they are going to stick around for a long time and things are going to suddenly speed up. But then I also see this scenario of like, kind of two kings coming in. One that maybe you've dealt with and one that you're still going to deal with in the future. But then that could be kind of a flightier energy, and someone new coming in. But yeah, I hope you like these messages. Thank you for watching. Hope you got what you wanted out of that reading. And I'd love to see you in the next reading. And that's it from me. Bye. Okay, pile 2, welcome to your reading. Here's your little kyanite wire wrap. It's like a little necklace pendant. Let's see if you and your person are gonna reconcile. So the first card you have is Beautiful Possibilities. And I'm gonna read the little book for this because this does kind of tell me like very kind of straightforward. I mean, it does say beautiful possibilities, so I guess you could kind of guess what that's about. It's very short. It says there is a real potential for love here. It's not guaranteed, but all signs indicate that this relationship could blossom beautifully if tended and watered. So that's looking good. Very beautiful possibilities, good chances that you and this person would reconcile, I would say, so far. We have the Five of Cups, though. Let's look at your tarot cards. There's the Seven of Cups. A lot of water energy here. I don't know if you are dealing with a water sign. Maybe you are a water sign. And then we have the Knight of Cups, so that's more water energy here. So I don't know, maybe you're dealing with a person who has like heavy water in their chart. Or maybe you have some heavy water in your chart. So yeah, okay, so beautiful possibilities. It does kind of say, it kind of depends. It's not guaranteed. You do have really good chances, but it can kind of depend on how you tend to the connection. And like, honestly, I feel more it's like tend to your own emotions and your own, like watering your own emotions, like nourishing your emotions and your mindset in a positive way. Because you do have the Five of Cups and the Seven of Cups, this is kind of like thinking of many possibilities, and perhaps when you overwhelm yourself with the sort of fantasies that you have, or many potentials and possibilities that things could happen in this connection, it could cause you to... Now here's the thing, this is something that I've caught myself doing in the past that has kind of, I feel like, cause some issues as far as connections go. And what that is kind of thinking that things could be a certain way in my mind, and then perhaps you take action thinking that you could kind of create something new within the connection, and things don't always go the way that you imagined it to, and somehow you think because it didn't go as well as you imagined it to, that it's somehow bad or a lot worse. I don't know. There's something here about seeing situations clearly and not making things out to be something that they're not. And I feel like this is more like in a negative way, as in like... Let's pull... Okay. You have the Knight of Cups here, which does talk about someone kind of wanting to pursue someone romantically, maybe confess some sort of feelings. Your person does have romantic feelings towards you, from what these cards are telling me, that there's like good possibilities here. But I do feel like there are challenges as far as like, because the Five of Cups too, like you've probably heard other tarot readers talk about the Five of Cups, that usually the Five of Cups is never as bad as the energy seems, because it's like three cups are tipped over usually in the depiction of the Five of Cups, and she's so upset about these three cups that are knocked over that she can't even see behind her are two cups standing straight up. And you can kind of like see the two cups standing up as like, I don't know, the Three of Cups does in some cases talk about infidelity, cheating, and looking at, she's sad about the Three of Cups being dumped over. I'm not saying this is your situation, but it's like she could be sad that she found out that the person she loved was cheating on her, and that's that whole end of her, what she saw with that person. and things kind of come crushing down. She's very upset and she can't see anything positive about that situation. But in reality, actually, the positive thing about that situation is now you see that person for who they are, and you can let go of that person who's, really not deserving of you, and you can, turn around and, eventually find your Two of Cups, the relationship that you're looking for. So basically, the story of it is like there's something actually good in the Five of Cups if you kind of just turn around and look at, a situation from a different perspective. So that could be kind of like what, is good advice for you in this connection, that, when you're feeling negatively, to kind of like ask yourself if that's truly based in reality, or if that's kind of your fears making things out to be something a lot worse than it is. So we have Lion Spirit. Be generous of spirit. Okay. So the other thing that I need to talk to you about in your um, pile, and I kind of feel a little bit annoyed at myself for bringing this up too much, so I'm sorry if I've kind of talked about this in my other readings a little bit too, so I do feel like it's a little redundant at this point, but I do feel like it's important to talk about since you are watching a tarot reading right now, and I know tarot readings can be addicting for people to watch. And I do kind of sense this energy of, with the Seven of Cups, like very much wondering like what's going to happen, how are things going to play out, and watching tarot readings to figure that out. I would be careful about who you watch as far as tarot readings go. I don't think that tarot readings or tarot readers are usually ever having bad intentions with the messages that they put out in their readings, but it is a lot of the times very positive, and I do see readers kind of take negative energies and read them in a lot more of a positive way, and I'm not always sure that that's helpful to do that, if that's, not really what the cards are saying or what's being felt. I want to be a reader who's very honest about what I see in the reading, so I'm guiding people in an honest way, in an honest direction, and not kind of like sugarcoating them or misleading them to, I don't know, get a few more likes on my videos so that I get more popular or something like that. And I'm not saying that that's their intentions, but I just feel like be careful who you watch, because I could see this pile watching tarot readings that tell them very like wonderful things and like ensuring that this person's gonna reach out, or that something big is gonna happen, and be realistic about those things, because if you do kind of just like believe those things and then they don't end up happening, and then it crushes you and makes you feel a lot worse than you might have felt if you just kind of never even really looked into those types of things. I don't know if this is making sense, but it could be something where it's like this dreamy sort of energy that you have about what could happen in the relationship. And I'm not saying that having that is necessarily bad or means that the relationship won't work out, but it can, cause you to feel like things should be somehow different than what they are, and because they are different than what you imagined it to be, that it's not going to happen, or it's building some anxiety within you, or maybe some fears within you. And I don't know, it could cause, not everybody in this pile, but I could see some people in this pile to maybe like self-sabotage their relationships a little bit. So I just feel like I wanted to talk about that in case that is helpful to someone who can kind of benefit from that. Because I do feel like emotions get intense for you, and that could cause sort of like challenges in this connection. So the song that you have is Glamorous by Fergie. And that's funny because I thought it was really funny when this card, so I told pile 1, the first thing I did for this reading was shuffled out songs and kind of listen to the songs and see what I get from the lyrics, if I think that points towards reconciliation or not. Yours is like interesting. So I wrote Good Chance, which I thought was really funny when Beautiful Possibilities came out. So it's definitely like very good chances that you and this person will reconcile, as long as you very carefully kind of monitor your emotions and your sort of like wishful thinking and fantasizing not matching up to reality. Doesn't mean that it's not good or that it's not going to happen, but that having a less like maybe dreamy sort of idea about how this relationship should develop. Because glamorous too, like the reason why, it's not a full yes is because most of the song she's not, talking about any sort of relationship. She's just kind of like feeling herself. And it's very kind of like self-focused most of the song. There is like one part where, ludicrous, I would assume he comes in and he's singing with her, and it's kind of like more of like a couple vibe. So that's interesting. So I feel like it's a good chance. It's not guaranteed, but there's a very good chance as long as you're kind of careful about how you kind of tend to your own emotions, tend to your own wellness. And I think that could benefit your connection and how it develops. So you have affection, express love through words, gestures, and touch to strengthen your connection. So I do feel like for most of you, your connection will be strengthened. There's some affection that's coming your way. And make sure to kind of like feed into more affectionate feelings rather than any sort of like negative or fearful feelings that you might tend to like those can tend to come up at times, so just remember to kind of like try and balance it out with like maybe positive affirmations, making sure you have a very realistic sort of idea about things, and knowing that like even if things move slowly, it doesn't necessarily mean that's not gonna happen, or like just don't like catastrophe. I'm not gonna be able to say that word. I'm not going to be able to say that word, but I'm sure you probably know. Most of you probably know what I'm trying to say. So we have forgiving and learning. As you release and heal the past, you experience more love in your present moments. So I guess one thing could be, as far as this like sort of dreamy energy, wondering about many possibilities, and kind of being in many sort of like maybe just kind of like a foggy headspace. It could be that sort of past things that happened in this connection can cause you to really doubt the connection at times. I feel like, again, there's a lot of positive sort of things about this connection, like a lot of positive feelings that can, like, there's a lot, it's a potential for a lot of positive feelings between you and this person. I feel like it could be you, it could be this person, it could be both of you, but someone here is very emotional, can be very affectionate. Um, and I don't know, just make sure that you don't let previous disappointments get in the way of how you feel about your connection with this person. Um, let's see what else you have. We have unrequited love. There's not enough attraction or chemistry to keep this relationship going. Okay. What I kind of feel from these cards here is that, maybe it could have happened with this specific person on your mind, or maybe a previous person, but I do feel like you might struggle with expressing your affection, either in general or towards this person specifically, because of some sort of rejection in the past. Um, I do feel like there's a tendency to really think that this person doesn't feel the same way about you. I think there could be a lot of fear about that, and maybe a past rejection or a past perceived projection, because I do feel like there's something about your perspective of this connection being a little bit off. And it's like, again, it's what I'm saying, where it's not as bad as what you probably think it is, because we also have this forgiving and learning. The Seven of Cups is a lot of questioning. Like, I don't really know. I have a lot of questions. I'm kind of imagining a lot of different things, and I'm not clear. And so, with this forgiving and learning, it does feel like you could learn something about this person, that they do have mutual feelings towards you. There could be something else that causes this person to not be able to maybe share affection in the same way as you, or it does feel like your perception of this person is that they don't have the same feelings, or that they did something that showed you that maybe they don't like you, and maybe you took it the wrong way. I do feel like there's something about learning that this person doesn't feel the way that you think they do, if you do feel like they think negatively of you. So we have, you're very close to achieving your goal. My advice, I want to give you my advice. So basically, I feel like as long as you feed yourself positive sort of thoughts and keep the sort of positive mindset and really work on your confidence, because I do kind of sense that maybe this pile for some of you could struggle with self-worth and your confidence. And I think that you can reach out to this person. It is possible that they might be kind of slow to open up, and that could cause you to fear that they don't have feelings towards you, and you need to really like kind of control those fears that you're getting, or sort of like upset emotions that come up at times. And it's like, ask yourself if you're really seeing things clearly. um, and things may not be as bad as you think they are. And I think as long as you keep positive thoughts and stay confident and really feeling like you are good enough for this connection, that I think something good can develop. Now, we have a lot of like good chance, beautiful possibilities. So it is very much like it's not insured. And it really does kind of depend on your emotions and how you kind of like, again, nurture yourself through this connection, because I could see you maybe easily getting upset over things that, weren't weren't supposed to be like misunderstandings, is basically what I'm getting. It could be that this person actually can share like very mutual feelings towards you, as long as you stay in a positive mindset, show some affection. And like, also, one thing about this is it could be that the person that you're dealing with does not express affection in the same way you do, and that could cause you to feel like maybe they don't have the same feelings, or it makes you question their feelings. I would say get to know this person, understand how they express their affection, and over time, I feel like things can develop in a positive way. Again, it's not insured. I do feel like if you get over kind of emotional in this connection, and it causes, man, I could see like self-sabotaging in this connection, and it could potentially end up pushing this person away. So I would say we have a lot of cups here. So you could be a very emotional person. You could deal with a lot of fears or anxieties, doubting yourself a lot, questioning things a lot. And I feel like this connection can make you pretty emotional. And I want to say that if you're dealing with someone who's not as open with their emotions, kind of pay attention to what you really need in a connection. If you do need someone to be more open with their emotions or vulnerable, because it does, like, whenever these sorts of very emotional energies come up, it kind of tells me that someone's maybe not fulfilled in the connection and they're not getting enough out of the connection. And it could be that emotionally you're not fulfilled or getting enough out of this connection, and maybe there would be a better match for you on an emotional level within a connection. Because I could see this person, to be honest with you, kind of switching directions on you if they feel like there's too much pressure and that they are affecting you too much emotionally. Because I don't know, I feel like it makes sense for anyone if, like, you feel like someone's so affected by you in every action you take or word you say or thing you don't do, and it affects them so deeply, it kind of feels like, damn, like maybe I'm not good for this person. And I could see that this person might question, like, maybe I'm not good for this person if I keep upsetting them so much. So if that resonates with you, I just want you to kind of like pay attention to that and kind of like really try and do things to balance your emotions in this connection, so that, because yeah, there are beautiful possibilities. And yeah, I kind of feel like you might learn a lot about your emotions through this connection. But yeah, I don't really feel like I have a whole lot more like advice to give or wisdom to share. I really do hope that these messages resonated and that they were helpful for you. But yeah, I am wishing you the best of luck in your connection, pile 2. So yeah, and thank you for watching. I would love to have you in a future reading. Have a great day or night whenever you're watching, and I'm going to move on to the next pile. Bye. Okay, pile 3, welcome to your reading. This was actually the first kyanite pendant necklace that I made. I don't know if the camera would pick it up. Probably not. Maybe you could see it a little bit. This one's so nice. It has like the deepest and kind of very clear dark blue color. It's very pretty. And I don't know, something about this one, specifically the way I did the wires, seems like so magical. Like, I feel like, if you wore this, you could like suddenly start casting spells. So I don't know, I do kind of get like a very magical energy from this pendant, and I wonder if that would play into your connection or your reading at all. So yeah, let's see if you and your person will reconcile. Oh, okay. We have sexual chemistry. So I'm going to read from the little book on this one. Did it for pile 1 and 2. So let's see. Okay, sexual chemistry. It says, this card has sizzle. There's definitely potential for something hot and spicy between you. This card could also indicate a purely physical relationship that burns hot but fades. Maybe you need to reconnect with your delicious, sexy side. Explore what makes you feel sexy. Interesting. So that could apply to your connection with this person. Maybe you have a very sexual connection with this person. They turn you on a lot. You're very attracted to this person, very passionate about this person. But yeah, maybe for some of you, this could be a purely sexual connection and not really meant to last. But let's see what else comes out through your cards. So we have the 10 of Wands. We have the King of Cups. That's nice. And we have the 9 of Pentacles. Interesting. I wonder if some of you just like kind of, this sort of sexual chemistry energy. Maybe you guys are not very, attached in connections. Maybe you kind of like to roam free a little bit. I don't know. I do kind of get like, maybe you kind of represent this sort of 9 of Pentacles energy, like this sort of free spirit energy, wild and free. I don't know. It doesn't have to mean that like you don't like committed relationships, but maybe you do kind of have a very sort of independent nature to you in connections. Interesting. Let's pull more cards. Let's see. We have Moth Spirit Surrender Now, and I want to see which song that you got. So, oh, wait, that's actually really funny. Um, so I shuffled songs for each pile in this reading. You got We Stayed Up All Night. And so this, I mean, I shuffled out songs first for the readings, and I listened to each song and kind of came up with my answer of what I get from your, like, the energy of your song, what I would say it would be the answer if you're going to reconcile or not. Yours was like the strongest yes as far as all the songs that came out. So you have sexual chemistry. I don't know. Maybe this is sort of like a friends with benefits type of, connection with this person. But yeah, it definitely, definitely a very good chance that you and this person will reconcile. And again, there is kind of like a very free sort of energy, so it doesn't tell me like necessarily like, um, you know, what happens after reconciliation, but it definitely seems like yes, there could be you know possible reconciliation with this person. So you also have connection, embrace new experiences and create lasting memories through shared activities. I mean, and the funny thing that I kind of skipped over earlier was with this song, there's nothing really sexual about this song. Um, to me, honestly, when the song, like, it does say like we stayed up all night in the song, but like to me, usually I think of like, oh, we stayed up all night talking, like kind of very innocent sort of energy that I get from that song. But I do remember thinking that okay, we stayed up all night doing, maybe not talking but doing something else. I don't know. And maybe that's kind of like the part of the reconciliation with this person is like, kind of like fun wild night with this person, this connection. But it does say new experiences and create lasting memories through shared activities. So I don't know, could be that this is a very strong sexual connection that does kind of turn into more. We do have the King of Cups here too, which can kind of talk about like very sort of mature feelings. So I would say like this person does really care about you, maybe even more than you know. Especially if you like, I do kind of sense that there's just like a lot of chemistry between you two, a feeling of like yeah, like connection, like being very like into each other, being very invested. And so yeah, I feel like this person is invested in you. So we also have getting to know each other. As you reveal your innermost selves to each other, your bond deepens. I really do feel like there's a lot of like sort of bonding happening in your connection. I guess my mind's in like, an interesting place since we have sexual chemistry. It does make me think, I almost thought of bondage. I don't know. You could do some wild things with this person. Um, yeah, for some of you, I don't know, because you don't really see it a whole lot in tarot readings of like, it's kind of like always like a will we be together forever sort of questions people are asking for tarot readings and wanting to know for tarot readings. I feel like a lot of people, the assumption kind of is people who are into tarot readings want this sort of relationship that lasts forever. I do kind of feel like some people who chose this reading, you're not necessarily focused on the whole forever thing with this person. Maybe you're just kind of having fun with this person and you're just kind of wanting to know, like, are we gonna hook up again? I mean, this is looking like a yes to me. Maybe it's not that deep for you with this person, but yeah, it definitely seems like there will be reconciliation. We have worth waiting for. So for some of you, it has been quite a bit of time since you've like, been with this person, been around this person. You have strong chemistry with them. And yeah, it does feel like it will be worth waiting for that. Yeah, at some point, I do feel like reconciliation can very well happen, and you will kind of, it does feel like your bond is meant to kind of deepen with this person. Yeah, and we have a new romantic cycle begins. And I do feel like, not to scare anyone, because that sexual chemistry card does say, like, you know, possibly just purely sexual connection, but we do have a new romantic cycle begins, and we have the King of Cups here, which does kind of tell me that there is a strong possibility of feelings maturing, feelings developing, and sort of very strong feelings for you. And so if you do, you did come to this reading and you do have sexual chemistry with this person, and you're wondering like, well, I do want a relationship with this person. I am kind of free and fun, but I do want a commitment, then I do really see that as a possibility here as well. But yeah, it does seem like very, I don't know, wild and fun, and like you could get kind of very sucked into this person too, I could see. Um and maybe at sometimes, feeling a little bit burdened by your feelings, or like I do kind of feel like there could be some sexual frustration in this connection as well. But yeah, very looking very good, and I would say yes. I do see reconciliation in the future with this person in your connection. So yeah, it might be a while though with that worth waiting for card. So it could be that, I don't know, it depends on your situation. If you just recently like kind of had something happen with this person, it might be that you might have to wait a while for this person to come back around. Or if you have been waiting a while, it might be that it's very well worth the wait, and new romantic cycle does begin with this person. So yeah, it does look good. Thank you for watching Pile 3. I hope you enjoyed those messages. Sorry that your reading was a little bit shorter, but I don't think that you probably mind. It's kind of straightforward. Um, so one thing to also look out for with this energy that I am noticing, we have the Nine of Pentacles, which is a very free and like sort of independent energy. I do feel like this person's going to be very attracted to you when they come back around. But I also do feel like part of the worth waiting for, it could be, something about waiting for this person to be freed in some way so that they can come towards you. Or it can be that this person does take a while to kind of commit, if that's what you're looking for. But again, that's kind of not really what this reading's about, so definitely check other readings maybe for that question. But yeah, reconciliation looks like a yes. So yeah, love to see you in a future reading. But yeah, gonna go ahead and move on to the last pile. Bye. Alright, pile 4. Welcome to your reading with your little kyanite pendant. Necklace pendant. I don't know. I didn't really talk about pile 1 and 2s. Pile 3 kind of like tells me a little bit. But, I don't know, the only thing I think of, like, this looks like a surfboard to me, so, like, very specific, obviously, not going to resonate with, like, pretty much most people, but I don't know, there could be someone here who likes to surfboard. I don't know, it could be skateboarding too, actually. Maybe you like to do that, but, yeah, very specific, so again, kind of just ignore that if that doesn't resonate with you, but let's see if you and your person are going to resonate, gonna reconcile. Sorry, I've been doing that like all day with this reading, just kind of like merging words together. You have cut the cord, so we're gonna read what that says. We read all the other piles in yours. So it says there may still be energetic cords tethering you to trauma and pain that you need to cut before you can be fully free. This is your sign to leave the past behind you and start afresh. Okay, so it could be, past sort of traumas, past like experiences that you need to sort of detach from, and maybe that can kind of benefit you in your connection with this person, and kind of like, boost your chances of reconciliation with this person. So we have Knight of Wands for tarot. Let's see what else. We have 8 of Pentacles. That's good. And then we have Ace of Pentacles. So that's good as well. So I actually, that's so funny. So that's good. There's actually a lot of positive energy here. I was not expecting that. When I saw the cut the cord card, definitely made me think like could be more of a no in this pile. But I don't know if that's the case, since we have the 8 of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles does talk about a new beginning, a new opportunity coming your way. And even the Eight of Pentacles, when it comes to relationships, that's a very good card that kind of says that things would develop in a like a good way, that things are like that. And this could be for you actually, because so with the cut the cord energy, you could already be doing these things where you're trying to kind of cut ties with past energies, sort of like past traumas or past negative experiences that maybe affect you currently. So I feel like, yeah, you guys could definitely already be working on that. With the Eight of Pentacles, this does is kind of like perfecting things, working on things, doing things in a more efficient way, making sure that you're doing things, you're like improving. So it's all about, to me, the Eight of Pentacles is all about improvement. So that does tell me that, like, it's very likely that improvement can happen in your connection, which would tell me that, yes, you could reconcile with your person. That opportunity does seem to be kind of waiting for you. There is something just a little bit. Well, we have two pentacle energies, which pentacle energies are also, or are always basically very stable. Interesting that I almost said also. So it does kind of make me think, I was about to say the Knight of Wands isn't usually a very stable energy, but for some reason, the fact that I did say also, somehow it could be that a Knight of Wands sort of energy is a lot more stable than what's actually expected. So I don't know. It could be that, like, the reason why you're coming to this reading could be that, will you and this person reconcile? It would make sense to ask that question if this person has been kind of flighty with you, and that does kind of represent this Knight of Wands energy. Not really stable, kind of flighty, not really too committed, can change their mind quite quickly or be very distracted. So maybe that's how you identify this person. Or maybe that could even be your energy too at times. Like maybe your distractions or your sort of flighty energy has caused maybe a disconnect with your person, or it's the other way around. But I do feel like there's a lot of potential for stability in your connection and things really improving within your connection. So yeah, okay, you have Wasp Spirit, sometimes life stings. And that's also, I remember this coming out, which made me kind of feel like, oh, this is going to be the pile it's a no for. But actually, I kind of feel like the Cut the Cord card is really saying that something in your past definitely stung you, and definitely left its mark on you. And I feel like it could be within this connection with this person. It does tell me something about the past keeps coming back up and maybe causing challenges in your connection. So there's a definite need to sort of release the past and realize that, Wash Spirit, sometimes life stings. It could be that you've been holding on to something that stung in the past, and maybe that whatever happened makes you feel like things are impossible in the future. And maybe there's something here saying that you need to heal that within you, because that could be holding you back from something really positive, some sort of really positive opportunity that could come your way in the future with this person. Okay, and here's the other thing too. I let all the other piles know, so it's your turn next, that the songs were the first thing that I did for these readings. So I shuffled out a song for each pile before I had ever shuffled out any cards for these piles, and I listened to those songs and really took in the energy and the lyrics of the songs to kind of think and figure out, will you and your person reconcile or not? You got worries, and clearly I thought no, and I put a little sad face here. And I knew when I wrote that out that that might not be true, that I could be getting that answer wrong. The reason why is worries. It is it's kind of like a sadder song, and it does give me overall a negative sort of song. Is going to make me think more towards no. But the other thing, and the funny thing, is actually I kind of take that back, that no. Because, and maybe that is a possibility that you and this person might not reconcile. I will say that, but more of what I'm feeling, to be honest, is that it has more to do with your worries and sort of whatever might have happened in the past that causes you to feel like things are impossible, that things can't work, or just certain worries that you kind of need to cut the cords with worries that you have that causes you to maybe kind of like another pile, possibly self-sabotage a little bit in this connection. So now we also have respect. It says treat your partner with respect by acknowledging their opinions and boundaries. So it does make me think that, maybe you have a longer history with this person than maybe other piles do. And maybe there have been fights in the connection. Definitely would resonate with this sort of Eight of Pentacles energy. It's like this this wasp spirit. Sometimes life stings. Like maybe this person stung you in the past, said something very hurtful to you, or it could even be like both of you fought and argued and said hurtful things to each other. Maybe there was a lack of respect in the past with this connection, and it really makes you feel cautious about getting involved again. Or it could even be that it's kind of that person's energy of like, yeah, there was a lack of respect in the past, and because of that we kind of wonder, like, would there be a chance of reconciliation based off of things that happened in the past. And I think as long as you kind of trap yourself thinking that things can't heal in this connection or things can't improve in this connection, then yeah, it could be that things may not develop in this connection. But I feel like if you have positive thoughts that things can improve in positive ways in your connection, and kind of let go of whatever stung you with this person, and get over that, move past that. I mean, it could also be that this person has put up boundaries with you, and there is a need to sort of respect boundaries in this connection. In some way it's telling me that there could have been a lot of conflict in the connection with this person in the past, and that really makes you question whether, things could really turn around in a positive way in the future. But yeah, I think as long as you kind of let go of like past arguments and kind of really look at things and improve, yourself, and make sure that this person's someone who's willing to also kind of look at their own flaws and their own like things that they can work on and really improve those things, I feel like things could really work out well in this connection. And definitely there is a good chance for reconciliation as long as there's kind of like a feeling of forgiveness between you two over what kind of happened in the past. So we have free yourself. It's time to take back control of your life. And that's also like very fitting with this, like, somehow the past seems to be tying you down and making you feel like something can't happen here, or that in some way, like, wondering like if too much damage has been done to kind of repair the connection. I feel like you might think that this person would never forgive you for something. Otherwise, it could be that you're really struggling to forgive this person for something. Either way, it does feel like forgiveness is really important in your connection, and respect is really important, and there might have been a lack of respect in the past, which really needs to be sort of there needs to be respect if there is like reconciliation with this person. Could be that this person really values like a respectful connection, when that doesn't like fight or argue, or it's like there's a calm way of addressing things. And that could even be like more on your side, like making sure that this person's respectful towards you and really like looking at things in a more constructive way rather than just wanting to fight or argue just to be, maybe immature or something like that. So we have trust. The situation is calling for you to have faith. And your last card is a win-win outcome is forecast. This does feel like if there is reconciliation in this connection, which it is actually saying that yes, there can be a reconciliation, but it is telling me more of like things that need to be looked at, and that could be again like a lot. There needs to be a lot of cooperation and mutual understanding, and really like a more supportive energy between you two if things are to like, develop in a positive way. And I think that's something that you want with this person. It feels like, you could really worry about things in the connection with this person. And yeah, I feel like you just need to have more trust that things can actually work out. It might be that you don't feel like this person would forgive you for something, and this is a message saying that yes, they actually would forgive you if you've done something that really sort of created something, some sort of problems in the connection. Um, just don't, it's kind of like freeing yourself from worries, freeing yourself from whatever stung you in the past, and not bringing that in with you in the future with this connection, kind of letting go of those things. And there's really something about having a fresh and clean slate with this person. And really, like, I do feel like respect is something that's really important in your connection with this person. And as long as both of you are really kind of like prioritizing respect in your connection, I feel like there's nothing saying anything bad about your connection. Actually, that it could be very like positive for, I think, both of you. Um, and I feel like there is mutual feelings, and you might be surprised, but just, you know, detach from whatever sort of worries that you have. And I'm gonna kind of let it go. That's kind of the messages that I'm getting for your pile. So I really hope that this was insightful, that it was helpful. And I am wishing you the best of luck if this is someone that you are wanting to reconcile with. I just feel like you should really trust yourself and stay positive. Um, and it could be that you're going to be the person who has to kind of initiate things if you want to reconcile with this person. That's kind of something that I see as a possibility here. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'd love to have you back in my next reading. But yeah, take care. Wishing you the best of luck in your connection. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go. Bye.